Hey, I'm Charlie Fox. I'm a marine meteorologist. And just to give you a little background, I grew up here in San Clemente way back in the 70s and 80s. And let me just say, we had a ton of sand. But there's a reason we had all that sand. When they finished dredging Dana Point Harbor, they released a tremendous amount of sand into our system, into our embayment that moved around by waves and currents. And we're talking over 2 million cubic yards of sand. And so we have been living off of this since then. So what is that, over 55 years? So in the 70s and 80s, when I was growing up here, we were flush. The key thing to know is that sand doesn't just wash away, at least not here in San Clemente, because of this embayment that we have bookended by Dana Point to the north and Cotton's Point to the south. So sand moves back and forth under the sway of different wave events. We get sand that moves offshore during higher energy wave periods. Sandbars form, beaches get smaller. Waves get smaller, those sandbars move back up on the shore and replenish that beach. Okay, but here's the thing. The sand that was lost naturally, just to attrition over time, and as we've demonstrated, very minimal sand was lost. We used to get that re-nourished naturally. So it would come down through streams and rivers, but that's all been blocked. It's essentially choked off from flood control. So the natural sand that we used to get is no moss. So what that means is we got to play nature and we got to restore this imbalance and get these beaches back to where they should be. So this whole thing isn't novel. This isn't new. This has been done all over the place. Sand nourishment is crucial to getting us back into balance. We need a big infusion of sand. Look, we've been living off of that huge infusion for 50 plus years. Then it's just continued maintenance and then we're good. So we've talked about the proof as to why the sand stays, but let's shift to the science. Let's talk about the why. Okay, this is super important. And one of the big arguments is, hey, the sand is just, it's gone. It's going to go north to south. No, it's not, because we got this really cool feature on the south end of town, Cotton's Point, San Mateo Point. And I'm going to show you how, and then give you some images that actually prove that there's a current that prevents, for the most part, the sand from leaving the system. Okay, so we get a lot of people talking about, oh, let's just add big groins. Okay, no, we already have one. Okay, let me show you. So this is the bathymetry of Cotton's or San Mateo Point. And what I want to bring out here is, notice this shape, the shape that extends offshore. So this is the former headland, okay, long time ago. But this is the subsurface. So what happens is a couple things. So any sand that drifts down coast during short period northwest wind swells, and surfers know this that frequent this area, sand will collect in the bay and it'll move out along the point. But at the same time, because of this bathymetry, so we said it's a giant natural groin, because remember, groins are just copying natural features, okay, preventing sediment from moving downstream. So this acts as that big groin, but even better than a groin, this bathymetric feature causes waves as they come in and they refract and focus on this feature. Waves go this way, okay? So this way matters. So it goes towards the north. So if the waves go towards the north, guess what else is moving towards the north? The current. And if the current is moving towards the north, guess what that's moving? Sand, sediment. So that is a perpetual thing. So these next two slides are going to show you under different wave events. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to just be a south swell event. So a south swell event, notice the wave pattern. That wave pattern, the lefts and the arrows, that's where the water's going. So basically we've got this permanent feature with a near continuous northward drift. And then we get, say, a winter swell from the west-northwest. It looks exactly the same. And the reason for that is the bathymetry. It's the way the waves are forced to break because of the bottom slope and shape. And it turns out that both southerly swells, westerly swells, northwesterly swells, they all break the same way along this bathymetric feature, which means we almost always have that northward drift. 55 or so years ago was the last major infusion of sand at the close of the completion of the harbor. That was about 2+ million cubic yards, okay? 50+ years ago. So we're already in this hole, this deficit, because we naturally lose a little bit of sand to the south, a little bit to the north, and a little bit to offshore. But think about how effective that system is, that past 50+ years, and we still have sand on our beaches. Because remember, we don't get any more sand from inland. Very, very little comes down through the creeks and the rivers. So it's our job now to maintain. First, we got to get up above this deficit level, which is probably a couple million plus cubic yards. And then it's just the ongoing maintenance, adding sand, as nature would have done. But that's our job. It's simple. We just need to make it happen.